Hi there. In this video I'll be replacing both the oven elements in a Beko SC1512 cooker. Although the fitments do vary from one make and model to another, the basic principles are the same. So this video could also be used as a guide for other non-fan assisted cookers as well. I've removed a few items from this cooker to allow for better viewing, but you needn't. The first thing I took off was the power cable so I can put the back panel out of the way. You would probably just loosen the cable clamps and leave the wire still attached to the cooker. If you do remove the cable, make sure you know which terminals they fit on. If there's no diagram such as this, then make one or take a photo. The next to be removed is the top rear panel. Once again, the top heater can be removed and refitted without this coming off, but it's more awkward to show and film with it in place. If you do choose to remove it, then first unscrew the hob via these two screws and slide it forward. Then undo the two top screws on the brackets. They're bolts and you may need to hold the nuts from inside the cabinet. Leave the other bracket screws because they're holding it onto the panel. Now undo the remaining panel screws and it will come free. Remove the screws at the base of the main panel first, but don't touch the two in the centre because they hold the counterbalance weight in place. Now undo the other screws and the panel will come off. If you've left the top panel in place, then lift the main panel slightly from the bottom and ease it away from the cabinet. It will be weighty because of the concrete counterbalance, but should come off quite easily. You could find it easier if you put your hand in the opening and grip onto the balance weight. This will ease it over the ridge on the cabinet base. The top element will have 4 active connections, but only one of these is not linked to the lower element. This one is for the grill. The lower one has 3, a positive, negative and an earth. Before replacing any elements, it would be wise to do a continuity test first, just in case it may not be the element which is faulty. Disconnect all the wires from the element before you try testing it, or you may get a false reading. If you get no reading from your meter, then replace the element. This is just held in by 2 screws, and when they're removed it slides out. The element just slides in a cavity under the base of the oven but doesn't actually hook into anything, so therefore there's nothing special to remember about fitting the new element except the earth wire, the yellow and green. It fits on the central terminal. If you're at all unsure, take a photo before removing the wires because getting this one wrong could blow the fuse or worse. The test procedure for the upper element is just the same. Remove the outside link wires that lead down to the lower element and test just those terminals. The wire that's not linked is normally for the grill and there's no need to remove it. Once again, if there's no reading on your meter, then the element is faulty. If you needed to test the grill, then just remove the single wire, and because the neutral side of the oven element is linked to it, you can test it by placing a probe on both the neutral and the grill elements. In this case, it's not necessary to remove the terminals from the oven section of the element. However, if either section of the top element is found to be faulty, you will need to remove all the wires, so make a note of where they fit before you start pulling them off. When all the wires are off, just undo the 2 screws holding it to the casing. These could be very tight or rusted in because of the heat, so be careful not to damage the head of the screw, or you may end up having to drill it out. When the screws have been removed, you'll be able to slide the element and attached lining plate out from inside the oven. They're held together by brackets which are screwed into the lining, so undo them and the element will come free. As you can see, there are 2 elements, but they come as a single unit and can't be separated. The link terminal connects both elements via the neutral input, while the live wires connect to the other terminals of either element. Take note on how the old element comes off and refit the new one in the same position. Now slide the assembled unit into the oven. Refit and tighten the element retaining screws from the outside. When that's done, you can reassemble the wiring. If you made a note of where each one fitted, then replace them like that. Just make sure the yellow and green wire connects onto the earth terminal and not one of the element ones. If you remove the top rear panel, then reassembling the back is quite straightforward. Start with the lower panel and screw it in place, then just replace the screws and bolts on the top panel. But in most instances it would have been left in place, in which case you'll need to hook the main panel under the lower lip on the top one and slightly lift it so the counterbalance weight clears the lip on the cooker base. If you do remove the hob top, then be sure to relocate it under the 2 brackets at the front before replacing the screws. I hope this video has been of some help. There's a few more videos on my site at selfixuk.co.uk, including some hotpoint repair manuals.